That's more words I've said to him than you have.
I mean, that's fine. You're just like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
homies. What's up?
I didn't say we're homies. I said we've talked.
Oh, that's true. You didn't. I just took it that you said you were homies.
And we're live. Cody Knopfenagel. Late. We are late. 5 minutes.
Mind your business over there.
No, he's keeping us in check. Look at Michelle coming in to do open gym. All right. We had the Masters here. I was hoping Cece would stay around. I didn't know her flight was so soon. I was going to see if she'd take Heather's place
Oh,
for
well,
today.
that would have been
Okay.
nice.
It'd be funny. Cece's got a lot to say.
DC has a lot to say. That's true.
Yep. All good things, though, right?
Yeah, mostly.
What do you think of the workouts that they did today? So to set the stage for everybody before because Heather got a front row seat. So they come in, we do some speed training stuff. Can't tell you what that is. Secret sauce. You can sign up with any of our wonderful coaches and we'll share those secrets with you. And you could be fitter, faster, stronger, and better to dominate the competition on the competition floor. One workout at a time. So we won't talk about that. Then the workout that I had them do was 50 cal row, 50 cal bike erg. Because we only have 2 sleds, we had 2 of the athletes do sled push 300 feet and 2 of the other athletes farmers carry 200 meters. Then they come back in and go 50 cal ski, 50 cal echo, and then they'd flip. If they farmer carried first, they'd sled push, and the sled pusher would then farmer carry. Originally, I intended to have it as finishing with the sled push.
Mm-hmm.
So like Luca got thrashed by the sled, but it was intended that way to be at the end. And then Cody, our lone survivor, hanging out with the Masters, getting a good quality sessions, helping them out, moral support, did handstand walk instead of the sled push, which seemed like it went really well.
For 300 feet?
150. I told him, I mean, he could have done the 300. I was just like watching how everybody's moving and seeing.
Yeah.
He would have been fine. But yeah, what did you think of that one?
About the workout?
Yeah, you got to watch it. Front row.
Well,
over by your rings doing
they were
flips.
I know. They were hurting for sure, which was pretty interesting. And I really liked that Brian, who's in the 50 to 54 division.
Yep.
He before the workout was like, I'm gonna chase Luca down, which Luca's in the 15 to 16,
14 to 15.
or 14 to 15 division. And he stayed with them, which was,
you know what I'm actually starting to learn a little bit about those couple. Oh man, it's hard to say. No, I think it's pretty close. For whatever reason, the 50 to 54-year-old males metrics are almost identical to like the 14 to 15-year-old kids.
really?
Yeah, from my like data collection. Now it's not like perfect, but it's like almost like,
Yeah.
if you were coaching a 50 to 54 male masters, you could also coach for capacity wise and like strength and gymnastics and those types of things.
Yeah.
You could also coach the 14 to 15-year-old kids.
Yeah.
And I can say that with having the first place man in the world and 9th place boy in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting to see them chase each other down, which was cool.
Yeah. Luca kind of hit a volume issue, hit a wall.
John, what do you mean by volume issue? Can you be more specific or no? Or do you not want to be
They were doing
specific?
good. They were doing good on the machines, and Luca's doing good. And then eventually smoked him. Sleds being the second was not that bad. Yeah.
Were they on the same one? Did they both do the sled together and then did the farmer carry together?
No, they did opposite. But it really it came down more to like the Brian was just kind of creeping on them, and the machines like they were getting off at the same time, and then the same time, and then then they got back in almost at the same time, like almost identical time of the farmers carrying the sled, but the sled ate Luca up because of the 50 cal on the echo, and then the sled, it was just like his tipping point of how much tolerance he could handle that type of volume. But it was still really good the whole time. It was a really good battle.
Yeah. Well, how did the rest of the weekend go? I mean, I saw parts of it, but I didn't see all of it. Like just having them on site in general. Yeah.
So Cece came in Friday, 4th of July. She ain't got nothing better to do, you know, other than come train with us.
It's cooler here than out in Florida, from what I hear.
No, it is not, dude. We did a workout and she was like, "It's so hot."
Yeah.
And then we argued in the car about it. And I told her, I was like, "It's dude, you said it was hot.
Yeah.
There's no going back now.
Yeah.
There's no going back."
Nice.
She's gonna argue with me about that one forever, probably.
Yeah.
But she said it. It was hot. It's hard because we do have air conditioning, and not that we like keep it super cold in here, but we like keep around 70. So like when it's 81 or 85 outside, and you run out the door and you come in, there's an exchange a little bit. So I think that definitely versus training. It
Yeah.
was 91 all day Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie. She actually said that on Saturday. That was hot.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah.
Well, I just meant more like the humidity because from what I'm hearing from Perry and when I talked to her on yesterday after the running session,
We had 91%.
I know. Well,
today.
I don't know. They were just saying how like it's so humid, they get like no reprieve out there. So
Right.
feel
Well, what
like-
I was gonna say about the AC thing is that they don't have the AC there, so they're just hot the whole time.
Mhm.
But when you think about competitions like even last year where they're inside a stadium,
Mhm.
if it has AC, most of them do. Like at Syndicate this last year where they did the yoke and the run, you go outside and you feel that like wall of heat.
Mhm.
So it can kind of fuck with you a little bit like that. Whereas Shea was something she was like having sensations of. But like in Madison, it was kind of the same. If you weren't out on the field, if you were inside the Coliseum, obviously it's cool. And then you run outside, which I've had events like that since like 2022, where they're in the Coliseum, running outside, coming back into the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's just that change in heat can mess with you a little bit. And if you're not used to it. So that was that's what's unique for CC, I think. I don't think it was necessarily more hot. I think it was you got the reprieve when you were inside doing CrossFit. And then when I made you go outside, you were suffering a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, CC came in Friday. Brian got in Saturday night. But Saturday morning, I had Luca, John, and CC come to the run because we're trail running here with the gym. And I'm trying to pull up this thing so I go back to it because I closed it out that we're going to talk about. I got it again. All right, sorry. And like they really enjoyed the community that we have and just something, John always says that it's like really special here that we have. And then, so we do the run. She got to run with general members who she was like, man, a lot of these people are really good at running, which is cool. Obviously we have some runners in the gym, but also we do a lot of running. And so that was really nice. Pat ourselves on the back as coaches in program design. And then we get into the gym and I had them do a snatch session and I was having them do some other stuff, but not the Send It Saturday. But we had, what do you think, 16 people in here doing the Send It Saturday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they roll in and I give everybody a talk. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. But that's how that goes. I did send CC a coach on Instagram talking to these women's lacrosse players. And the coach is just like talking about being a good teammate and like all this stuff. It's like almost like a 3-minute long video that's like cut up. I was like, this coach probably talked just as long as I did, CC. Get over it. But anyways, we try to do that sometimes, bring everybody in, talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Help change the mindset, work on, just realization of your life expectations, whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if there's a theme, for whatever reason, everybody gets on the same wavelength sometimes. You're in the gym and then it's like, why do you all 10 of you have this problem right now? Were you guys like texting each other? Hey, you also don't put feedback in your Coach RX because that would be really cool for everybody. I don't know why. It's weird.
I know it is weird, but sometimes you got to like bring it back in and have those talks. I think they're valuable.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So CC was looking around. John and her were snatching. We're working on some other top secret drills that we can't share for their speed. And she was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah.
She
said that to me too.
Yeah, to see this many good people like in one place. And I was like, well, and I should have just took the compliment and been happy about it. But instead I was like, I mean, it happens at Mayhem, happens at Train Think Tank. Like it's, but it's cool. And like the people that come on site, it's
definitely cultivated, right? I mean, that was why a lot of the reasons why I moved out to New York to be here was because it is really special what you guys are able to do and cultivate. And it doesn't happen just anywhere. I think a lot of people have the potential to do it with the athletes that they have in their gym and all those things. But those type of cultures need to be cultivated
They got to be pruned a little bit too, you know.
Yeah.
It's like gardening. You got to keep your garden real nice.
Yeah.
No, but I hope that she shared. Well, you guys, anybody watches now will hear what she said, the fantastic things she had to say about you, and hopefully she shared it with you personally if you were on site, because you were very impressive to her. She really enjoyed the environment, the culture, the community, how good everyone is, and it's just magical and special to her. And that's the thing. Like, not only are we doing stuff as coaches and myself and Marissa as the owners, but you know, it's all of them and their willingness to be in here. A lot of the one-on-ones, the hybrids, and even our general members too. Cause like said, she ran, you know, the trail running with the general members, and she was really impressed.
Yeah. Well, and I think
Renata said, love it when the crew comes into town.
Well, and it's cool always. I mean, that's why we like when you have these camps and people come into town, it's like you just collectively bring all these like-minded people, you know. And I think that sometimes when CC and Brian and different athletes, like, yeah, they train and they do their own thing solo, maybe independent from whatever's happening in their gym. But I think a lot of times what I hear from my athletes who are in environments like that, the people that are in the gym like don't understand necessarily like what they're trying to do. And so it's hard for them to, I don't know, sometimes they just like, they're not around like those people all the time. So they don't get as motivated. Sometimes they just like, you know, have a hard time with training. And then they actually come into an environment where you have 16, 18 people on site that are all at different levels, but they all get it, right? And they're all trying to train and be and do the same thing. And so like just being able to like be in that environment of people. Cece was telling me in the car, she was like, I just feel so rejuvenated like when I come out here, and then I go back to training and I'm like, okay, like I can get through the next like 6 week or month block until the games, because she just like feels re-inspired, re-energized, and can like take that back with her, which is cool. And we're just lucky enough that I think that we have that all the time. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that, and the people on site needs to be reminded sometimes and be brought back into that what we do is not normal in every gym, you know?
Yeah. So you have good compliments too.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday we came in. What do we even do on Sunday? I can't even remember. But Brian was here.
You guys did something outside on the turf, I saw, with like the
yeah. Secret sauce.
I won't say whatever,
stuff.
but
killing them outside.
More stuff outside.
Tons of stuff outside. And then Monday came in, trained. They trained all day, 10 to 3. Did some more stuff. Every day we had some type of speed work or drill that you can prescribe like remotely, but it's really hard to teach it correctly in the intention of it, because it can get done incorrectly. And then like, because it's so neuro driven or speed driven, you're going to ingrain patterns that could make you worse, actually, unintentionally, you know, cause it's like, yeah, we're doing like banded resistance drills and things like that. Working on them. Turf equals secret sauce. It does. It's so hot. It bounces up the heat. Heat acclimatization. But anyway, so the other magic piece was like on Tuesday, we've been doing what we call run club, quote unquote. And hi, I'm late also.
We've been talking a lot about
We've been talking all about you, CC, the first 13 minutes. No, so they came out to our quote unquote run club. So like we've talked about on shows in the past, is we started by four sets, 1,000 meters. Now we're up to 6 sets. We're going to start bumping it up here, closer to 8 sets soon. And we did it at the track because my torn hamstring, it made it easier for me to watch everybody instead of going out on the road or the trails we've been doing. And so we brought everybody to the track, went to a new track, kind of like the vibe. It was good. So everybody's out there, good energy, good effort. We had one of the members, Lindsay Bodgers, ran some High Rocks races. She came out, had a really good time, pushed herself into paces that she normally doesn't run. And it is that energy that like elevates you up. And then there's like Heather and Cece. I know that they're very similar in pace. And then Cece's motivated to stay ahead of Heather, you know? And so like, it's the elevation of energy. And there was also which was funny, there was the women's field hockey team and field hockey coach out there. And she came over in one of the runs And let's see, I like the track for repeats anyways, more tangible and visible. Yeah, you can hunt people down. I was telling Mo, I was like, go get Brian, because Brian would sneak ahead of her a little bit because they have very similar paces. I was like, you got to get him.
Yeah.
She was trying. It was hard. He's getting it. He's fast. He's first in the world. So sometimes, like, if you lose to Brian, you should feel pretty good about yourself because he's first in the world. Also, what's the run club? What's she saying? Pull that up.
Well, because you went like run club or something.
Oh, I'm saying quotations because, like, I started as I was just going to prep for High Rocks and invited everybody into doing my 1000s. And then
he turned it into a club.
But anyone can come. Anyone can come. You're in the area. You want to come? Come. I mean, if you're not part of a gym, maybe I'll take $10 from you or something. But anyways, at the top in their section is Sutherland, Coach Kathy. Yeah. So Coach Kathy, didn't know her name, comes over to me and was like, yeah, I wasn't normally, I don't talk to people and I wasn't going to come talk to you, but I heard you talking about like thresholds and pacing and stuff. And I was like, oh, this guy like actually knows what he's doing. I was like, cool. So she starts talking to me, and her son coaches CrossFit in Boston. And she got a bunch of stuff in her garage. I was like, you should come train with us. She's like, she's got a ton of equipment in the garage. She was telling me all about it. Really nice lady, Kathy. You know, it was sick.
Nice.
But yeah, she could feel the energy. Kathy could feel the energy. She knew we were a high level of elite performers and we were out there having a good time. Kathleen brought her rower out because she wanted to enjoy herself. And she had to do 800 row, I think 2K 800.
Yeah.
Every 20 minutes for 3 sets.
Yeah. Well, she said it was going to be more enjoyable than just running around the streets at her house.
Well, and she knew the crew was going to be out there,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Huge amounts of FOMO.
Yeah.
What did Marissa say? Pull that up. And you know when you need to get to for distance for the 1K versus running into oblivion. Yeah, but we're all wearing watches and heart rate monitors. I get that, 100%.
But I was saying, as much as I think when I was telling Kayla this today, it's like when I'm running for time, like not time, but like time constraint where I'm like, okay, run for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Like I love running on the trails, but I actually really enjoy being on the track because I can like visually see, even though my watch is
weak.
I know, but even when I know where like my watch is like 0.3 left or whatever, I'm like, what? I don't know how much farther is that.
That's like you could learn.
I know. Well, I mean, I do know, but it's like it's see like where I have to go, how much I have left. I think that like helps me mentally.
You know how much of a strong flex it is when you go, yeah, the left turn that you guys are going to follow is about 50 meters up when they're warming up and you're coaching and you're on a trail. And then Joe comes around and goes, yeah, that was about 50 meters. Flex, bro. I just flexed my knowledge of distance and perception of distance on people. Okay. Think about that.
For that bigger loop on Saturday, I think you said was like a mile. And when I did it,
No. Don't do that. The trail map says it is this distance.
Okay. Well, it was not.
It was not. I made the joke where I was like, I'm going to email Brighton and tell them that this trail is not the right distance. And here's all our GPS. I was annoyed because it
was not correct.
Yeah, it was not correct. But that's why I said it was that, because that's what the trail map was telling us.
Oh.
But anyways, yeah.
All right. That's not
you were right. It's not my fault. It's Brian's fault. They misguided us. Yeah, 0.32 wrong, Radonna says. Let's see, what Marissa say? I think for speed in particular on the track, it makes a lot of difference. It does, definitely. Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. You can see the people in front of you. You know that it's 2 and a 200, like 2 laps and a 200. You know, it gives you hope. And like I even talked about like where it gets tough in about 700 meters in our thousands. And like, you know, the parameters that I gave everybody, and every week I give parameters, even though we're running the same session. A lot of it, we're trying to just do accommodation to the distance and our heart rate primarily. And then now it's like, okay, at the track, typically I'm going to say, hey, we're going to just let the dog off the leash and get after it and see what, you know, paces you really can hit versus, you know, being controlled, being at a heart rate, being at threshold and sustaining that for a duration. And all of you guys, you know, we share in our Slack some of our heart rates, some of our progressions, and like everybody's gotten better, and it's cool to see. And it's cool to see that the intentions and the model and what we're trying to do through the idea of the training, how we're going to block it up, and what the intended like result and adaptation is going to be, or what I want it to be. And then you guys executing as a large group, because there's what, 7 to 10 of us out there pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And then seeing everybody adapt in their own specific way, increasing these things, and like, but specifically hitting some of the marks that we're looking for. Because like one week I was like, okay, you were in zone 5 for 3 minutes. Now this week, let's try to eliminate that 3 minutes by pulling back, feeling the pace, running a zone 4, building that buffer. And then like people are feeling better. We're able to do more mileage at a higher intensity, but not blowing yourselves out. It's pretty neat to see. It's fun to do because it's real-time feedback versus, like, and it's easy because you guys are so fit. Most, like all of you guys, and you're trying very, very hard. Not to say like a general CrossFit class isn't, but most people are coming in for an hour a day. I would say 90% of us going out there, 90 to 100% of us going out there are trying to compete pretty high level in something, whether that's CrossFit or high rocks or marathons. So the effort there and drive is just a little more sense of urgency, I guess you could say. Because when you come in for health and fitness, like you don't got to bring it every day.
Right.
And that's okay. You don't got to do that. There's no expectation to do that. You want to try, but you don't got to be coming in and dialed and listening to me talk about where you should be. And when you finish, what's your heart rate at? What's your this, that, like that can get kind of annoying. So
yeah,
I understand why, but it's cool to see. And they really enjoyed it. Like Brian and Cece loved it. And they're like, damn, we're doing this all the time. How much better would I get?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then today, then we went back to the gym. We did some skill work, obviously another Metcon because they got to keep the volume up. And some strength, and I crushed Cody's legs. Or no, I crushed his legs on Monday. And then we ran, and he weeble wobbled on one of the sets. It was amazing. Yeah. And then today we did that cool 50 cal chipper. They had a good time. Everything is really balanced. I think the masters really enjoyed that. Worked on a lot of different like ideas and versus like training, because we're 6 weeks out and what they have is what they have. Like we're just trying to get things sharper, talking about like, how are you going to game plan a workout that comes out? Because we're going to see all those machines, all the running, all the thruster, like everything we've been doing. So now we're just taking inventory of like, where are the capacities right now? And then our only driver is to move them up by like 1 to 2%. Because that's about all you're going to get over the next 6 weeks of like performance gains. But that still gives you like, let's say a workout comes out and they got to do 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 wall balls, rowing, and lateral burpees over on the rower for a workout. Like we know what paces we're going to hold on the rower. We know how long each set of burpees is going to take. And then we make this really good game plan and strategy based on what data they have that we know they can do. And then we figure out where we can push a little bit, or you just kind of lean in and race where you can race. And so that's happening a lot. Like John and CC did the workout on Saturday, and I'm like, okay, you guys are at this pace. We're going to try and hold, this on the bike erg, and then you're going to run in and we're going to cut this time down here. We're going to do this. So like almost like playing them like a little video game player and helping them take their mind off of how bad it's hurting, or, I can't hold this. I don't think I can hold this. And it's like, you just held it last round. You're going to hold it again. Stay right here. Like, and we talked a lot about like, that's how you can cut the curve on people. And a lot of people will let up, or they'll just fatigue, or they don't even know. They come out too hot because they are coming out either with the race, or they have no idea what their paces are for anything. And they're just trying to go by feel, which can work for some people.
Do you think that happens a lot more than we think at this level?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 100%. That's why the athletes I've coached are so successful.
Yeah.
And there's more athletes getting coached one-on-one. We were talking about this before they left today. Was that, there's more athletes getting coached one-on-one, but even then I'm still leveraging that there's bad coaches. There's bad coaches out there. Like, even though they were getting coached one-on-one, I'm like, oh yeah, but your coach doesn't actually know. And not saying all coaches don't know, but there are some coaches out there that even though they're a one-on-one coach, they have an idea, but they haven't had enough practice or experience. And then there are coaches out there who have a ton of practice and experience, like myself, and we sit back and we like run those races a little bit better than somebody else. And over time, Brian and I were joking. It's like, well, like chatbots are just going to take us down, and then all of us are going to be in trouble. But there's also like things like you look at right now in the space, Gomar coming around from Watt Science and doing all the lactate threshold testing, and Nick Fowler with Brute originally, like we did all that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on Brute, we went out to Salt Lake City. We did a ton of that stuff, and it's not new. It's just, does someone know it enough to apply it to mixed modal training and CrossFit? And Gomar definitely does. And he's created these things. It's very simple, honestly. If you understand a step test and a lactic threshold test and how that's done in a clinical setting and like an exercise science setting, it's very easy to do. And I've already talked to like Renata about doing it here with some of the athletes. And you just have to do it. Now, who and what and why needs to do that? Very few people. But as a coach, it allows you to understand like the effort levels, the biological effort levels, and what people are phasing through when they're training. And that little piece, that science, like that stuff pushes athletes forward pretty far because you're now playing into the biology of things rather than methodology or like a training system. And you're looking at the human being, what we talk about the energy systems all the time, quote unquote. And sometimes we keep those pretty vague. I think a lot of times I don't explain all these things on here as much because there's tons of podcasts that already do that. And again, it's like more competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Like we're just coming out to talk about stuff on here and like give our perspective, but that's why you gotta come on site where I give you all the secret answers.
It's true. It's true.
But they enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I think
it was good. It was a fun weekend.
CC, comment if you enjoyed it. You had a good time. You got secrets, special secrets. All right, let's see what Cody said. All right, she's speaking of Luca. He did a new workout Tuesday, run 1K, rest 407, run 1K. Oh, yeah, because he didn't have his watch on. So he was a variable rest for Luca. No time, no idea what time.
Someone
he
needs
was
to
resting.
get this kid a watch.
Oh, look at these cool photos we took. Look at Heather, heel striking. I was actually going to talk to you about this. Did you notice that you're just hitting your heel on the ground?
I did not.
Oh man, that was the first thing.
I did when I saw that photo.
That was the first thing I saw. Lindsay Baja, killing it.
How come I'm surprised you only took 4 photos.
Dude, because I was coaching. I was telling Marissa when I got home, I was like, dude, I need a media person because I can't.
Just like saw you at the end of the thing, like snapping shots. I thought it looked like you.
Well, sometimes you don't always hit a good shot, guys. Come on, yeah.
So you took more than 4. These are the best 4 you got.
Yeah. Okay. You want to make Nate look like a superstar.
Yeah,
like, look at him. Look at that. Look at his figure 4 position. Go back. Look at that. He could bring his knee up just a touch, get his toe over his ankle a little more. But I like his hands. Good position. He could relax his shoulders a little bit more, but hands are good position. Hands are relaxed, holding potato chips. They're at his sides. They're not crossing over his body. It's good. John's looking at his watch, but like you can see that left arm is crossing over a little bit. Renata's making fun of me in the comments about the art. Because when I take photos in the gym, like for the open, I'd take a photo and I'd try to take one photo. And then I would go over to Renata or whoever and be like, look, art. It's art. This is funny. It's like he did track. Yes, Nate did do track. He's now called Block Boy.
Why?
Because he was giving us a hard time about coming out of the blocks and like how good he is out of the blocks. And I was like, I don't really care how good you are out of the blocks. I'm telling you right now, like Guy Humeros has such a good hip extension that he could out block start you because of his hip extension. No matter how good of your technique, dude, he's just so powerful through his hips. I don't care how good you think you are. And so we got a huge argument about it. So now he's Block Boy.
Okay.
Someone get him some blocks. Yeah. Anyways.
All right.
That was it. That was a fun time. Now I'm exhausted. Gave him all my energy.
Well, it's good.
And the allergies too don't help. It's terrible. Yep.
All right. So let's talk about this this post.
I was hoping some of the masters were going to comment. I mean, CC did comment, so that was pretty good. All right. We got to give credit where credit's due. Jason Layden put this post up. And Nate Hall, you talking about me? Yes, we talking about you, Nate Hall. And I really liked all of these points that he had here, and we wanted to go through it and talk about it. And he said the problem isn't always the sets and reps, it's the strategy. And this is in the context of program design, plays off of what we were talking about last week of having the means versus a methodology, and building better programs, and even athletes understanding the program that they're on or the training that they're doing and what the job of the coach really is. And so the first one that he's got, the first point is you want to start with a diagnostic, not a download. And I do this a lot. I think a lot of people get upset with me sometimes because they want to give me like the recount of like their experience.
Their experience in what?
In like a test or a workout or a competition.
So you give them a test and they want to give you their feedback and experience.
Yeah.
Or you're talking about prior to the test.
That could be it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, either or. But what I'm saying is like, as a coach, I want to do like, I want to
You want to learn your own data is what you're saying?
Yeah. But I want to do a diagnostic. So like if it's got 12 toes to bar, I want to know that you broke it into 2 sets. You rested 8 seconds between the 6 reps. And I want to know that it took you 2.1 seconds per rep. I don't care that you're like, well, my grip fatigued and one grip fell off and I spun my grip around and I was breathing really hard and I need to do more toes to bar under fatigue. And like,
well, you just want the raw data, not the, for lack of a better way of saying it, the excuses.
Not even, yeah. I mean,
or the reasoning, I should say, not excuses.
Yeah. Or their personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because your experience only has value to you realistically. Because you're the one living it, right? So like, because we could all go watch a movie and get something very different out of it, but at the end of the day, that movie still had its point, its premise, its character development. Like, just because we drew these things out of it doesn't mean that there aren't like these actual things. I thought about this today because people were talking about Jurassic Park because the new one came out. It's actually really good, apparently. And I was thinking that because there's like a lot of people talking about it and how it's just as good as Steven Spielberg's first Jurassic Park, which is pretty iconic. And they were talking about, which is funny that we're talking about this now, and I know the relevancy here, but they're talking about Spielberg was like, you hit the nail on the head for telling like this type of story, the way you need to tell this type of story to keep audiences engaged and then leaving them hungry in the appropriate ways to fully enjoy cinema. And like people go to school for, obviously for making movies and doing really well with movies. The same thing with like exercise science and training. And we could go to that movie and have a minimal understanding of what like Steven Spielberg's understanding is. And we're missing the point way over our head. And I feel like athletes are in that situation. Like they're missing a lot of the true, genuine pieces of what this thing was. If I'm like, hey, let's go max toe to bar set, and I go leave 1 in the tank, and I say nothing else, like they're going to go out and do it, and then they're going to tell you about how they felt rather than go, oh, that's really cool. I did 22, probably could have did 23, 24, felt great. That gives me information that when I see a 21-15-9 workout, I should probably break the 21 toe to bar into 2 to 3 sets always until I can increase my maximum toe to bar set. But instead they're like, oh yeah, my lower abs really fatigued and I just couldn't lift my hips up and I started to breathe really heavy.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool story, bro. Like that's.
Yeah. Right.
And I want to like, again, that experience.
But do you think that those athletes even have enough knowledge to know?
No, that was the point of the Jurassic Park analogy.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're not Steven Spielberg.
Right.
And that's okay. That's my point though, is like what I'm looking for as a coach is I'm looking to diagnose. I'm not looking to download, even though it feels good. I do want to hear what you have to say. I'm not saying like, don't tell me and I'm going to be a complete asshole about your experience and your training and everything else. It's like when I asked this is classic. This is a classic thing. Actually, it happened to me today twice. Hey, what was your time? Bad. Well, that's not a time. Bad is a time.
Yeah.
Where's the extra zeros or like you got a first digit there? Is bad the first digit? So B is the first, like, are we doing Morse code? Do I got to decode this time?
Well,
like
also,
what is?
what is the parameter of bad?
I don't even know, dude. It's crazy. But I'm
Yeah.
like, bad. That's not a time. I asked you what your time was.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 12:41. Oh, okay. Thanks. That was helpful. So I could know your work capacity in the given workout that I gave you. And I actually was in here and I watched you so I could see how you're breaking things up and how you're approaching it and how you're moving through ranges of motion and, the look on your face, the perceived rate of exertion. And, bad's just not going to do it for me. That's my favorite comment in training. Marissa, it is melting emoji. If I coach you and you tell me that, I feel like I could just like spray you with water like they do to dog training.
Yeah.
Like just like squirt you with water, dude. Bad. That's not what I asked you. I
Yeah.
asked what the
Well,
time was.
I just get a lot of like my delt wasn't engaging, and so then I couldn't like get my abs to like. And I'm like, well, how many did you do? And it's like a whole. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And like that's again like going back to like downloading is good. Well, I do want to know those things, but like help me help you to start off. Let's gather some metrics. Let's gather some understanding. So then we can break down where we're going to go with this, where we're going to progress this. Because if you need to do 30 toe to bar unbroken and repeat that effort for 3 to 4 sets because of the goal that you have, I need to know what you did right away, in your notes or in person, everything else. And then like, yeah, let's talk about some other things. Cause maybe there's some things like grip limitation, hip compression stuff. And you can tell me those sensations and we can build things. And then downloading for your psychological, and emotional and like coach to athlete connection is great. But we got to start with, that diagnostic step. And it also helps us in coaching. Like that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have a diagnostic approach so then we can find what's going to open up your ability to train harder, faster, better. The default result should be all times and metrics for every piece. Right. That should be the default as a one-on-one client is you guys should have your time, how you broke things up. If you're really good, like Matt Chia, which I love, and I watch his videos and he edits them for me. And he's so good that he puts the weight sometimes, like if he's lifting. So the video comes in, it's a video. It's got every rep in the one video.
Star.
Dude, he crushes it. and then the weight pops up as what loaded is. She's got to say nothing.
Stop.
Yeah, it's sick. He does such a good job.
Matt Chia, let's just give you like a round of applause.
And I feel bad sometimes because I'm like watching these videos and like I've told Lauren Cullen too, because she does an awesome job as well. I'm like, I don't got time to like sit there and do a video telling you what I'm seeing. I just tell you real quickly in the notes or I pick a new progression. But because they do that, their program is so dialed for them because they crush it. It's really good. But anyways, that's what we want. We want that type of information so we can diagnose it. So then we can start building and layering things on in the training program or in our conversations. And again, downloading is good, but I think it happens too much. We got a thing here. I'll pull up Kathy's comment. Kathy, we can't give you what you don't know you're looking for. If you want something specific, ask for something specific. Yeah, your reps, your sets, your times. I mean, I'm very specific with the athletes of what I want. And yeah, a coach does need to be very clear in what they want. And for all my athletes, like your video set, or I tell people pretty often, hey, just video the whole workout, put it on YouTube, and then send me the YouTube link and I'll watch you. So it's for me, and I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I'm definitely like the expectation is there. But yes, if you're coaching people and you don't put out that expectation, yeah, you're going to have some problems there. But telling me that your workout was bad is not the business though.
Yeah. Well, it gives you nothing tangible to help them for the next week.
Right. Bad equals we're going to do it for an 8-week cycle. Dude, that would suck. Don't. Oh my God. But anyways, yeah. Giving that information. That's good though, Kathy. Like definitely having the coach like set out good, clear parameters of what they expect, in general for athletes, like the more you give that's metric based, because that's the sport that we're playing. We're almost like 400-meter racers. If I don't know what your 400 time was, or I don't know what those intervals were that you got on the track, if we're running 100s or 200s, trying to improve your 400 meters and you're not giving the coach those times, yeah, you're going to have an issue there, and that should be a given. And like, she's right. Maybe it's not a given. So
Yeah.
we could probably do a better job of that. But
Yeah.
I would think like the raw data metrics of how many pounds, how many sets, how you broke things up, and how fast you went, or calories per hour, like anything that you can measure, you can manage it. And a lot of things you can measure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important too. Like the athletes should know, we've talked about this before, like what their like pieces are throughout the week that are like the the thing they're really working on, right? And whether it's snatching, whether it's ring muscle ups, whether it's endurance, running, whatever, they should know what those pinpoints are, and they should be giving you the most data. Like I find a lot where like I have a couple athletes, like they're working on snatching, and I try to in the programming, I'll write, okay, send me a video of a couple of sets or whatever. And then one week I'll forget to put it in there, and then they just like don't put a video. They go, well, you didn't say. And I'm like, well, we're working on snatching. Like you should know that snatching is the thing that we're doing. And how am I supposed to give you feedback in your technique and what we're working on if I don't know what those things are? So I think like those athletes understanding from the coach, like what are the pieces in my week that I'm really highlighting and focusing on, and that's the thing that we're working on, and knowing like whether the coach is telling send video and typing that in there. And
Yeah, every
yes,
time.
we need to be doing that for sure, but also understanding like that's what we're trying to communicate and work on together, what those pieces are.
Yeah, Marissa's saying it's not even that I'm lazy. I just want to spend time progressing your programming, not figuring out what weights you used.
Right.
Especially with all the black bumper plates. Like,
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty good at it, but hey, man, I need to see it.
Right.
Yeah, what's not measured can't be managed. One of my favorite lines. I mean, it is so true. But yeah, so point number 2 on the post is that what we're talking about is like reverse engineering the competitive demands, or reverse engineering where you're at in the system. If you want to compete in the sport of fitness, I was talking to somebody about Cody, and I was like, look, I already know he has to do 120 toes to bar like pretty easily in under a 10-minute time domain with other stuff. So just that singular metric alone, and I don't coach Cody, but I just know the male field and everything else. And like that number can go up or down a little bit, but realistically, that's what it is. It's like 120 toe to bar capacity with other things and less than 10 minutes for sure. You know, like he did the work we were talking about. He did 300 double unders, 30 snatches, and 90 toes to bar in around 11 minutes in a qualifier. And it's like, and their guys getting like 10. So then you build that capacity and you're like, yeah, dude, like that's what it is. So then characteristically, you could say, hey, if we can't do the 300 toe to bar, segment that out. Snatches are tough, segment those out. Toes to bar tough, segment those out. But if he's like not giving Marissa the video, or his score is not going up on a leaderboard, we don't even know where to start. There's no way to reverse engineer the issue because we don't have any of the information.
Correct.
You know, and like again, it's all on us. It's on us as the coach. It's on the athlete to also do it. And like Heather's saying, like, I think that's a valuable piece as an athlete. If a coach tells you to video this snatch, and then you see that snatch every week because you're working on it or something of that nature, it's probably a good idea to send in a rep, every week of the snatch.
Yeah, right.
Because, you know, it hasn't changed very much. There's some variation because we do compete in a variable sport where we do have to use somewhat of a conjugate method where we're, you know, working on the same movement, give or take, but in different variations of speed or complexes or broken down pieces of, you know, if I'm using the snatch, different things like snatch balance, power snatch, hang snatch, you know, all of those things, and building that out to make sure that the full piece of what we might have tested or diagnosed from the beginning is correct. So if you know that, you should probably keep putting in those videos. So that way that we know we're going in the right direction. Because most of the time we're looking to make sure that the movement is clean, the quality mechanics are there, and then we're watching the loads go up and up and up. Or whatever it is, like depending on the demand. Like if in the 30 snatches that Cody's got to do, we're looking at a speed of snatch per rep, per rest between each rep increases so that he can crunch that work into the 10 minutes. And like some people would say, hey, well, you're specializing him in those 30 snatches at 155 with these toe to bar and these double unders. And I would argue, we're going to see something very similar. And then we go back to across CrossFit in other qualifiers. Like we watched people do 30 snatches for time, heavy Isabel at every friggin' semifinal and in the masters or in the age group qualifiers. So like it's a theme that happens a lot in different variations, different combinations. And if that's an issue because we've diagnosed it, he needs to improve that, just using it as an example, then we can work on it. And so we need to see how long he's taking per, because that's where an athlete has no idea. You have no idea how long you're taking between each rep when you're training, unless you're videoing yourself and going back and counting 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was 7 seconds before I put my hands on the bar. I'm setting up. I'm still haven't done a rep, even though my hands are on the bar. 8, 9, 10. So you know from the time that the bar hit the ground from the rep before to the bar coming off the floor or overhead took you 15 seconds, right? And if you're losing workouts by, let's say, 30 seconds or not qualifying for certain things by 30 seconds, well, we know where that time can come from rather quickly because you videoed yourself, you looked at it, and we're not even like really fixing the fitness. Well, to a degree, we got to fix the phosphagen system so he can recycle and set up better and get faster, or even a mental thing and get on the bar quicker.
So it's bringing an awareness to them.
Yeah, sometimes that's it. And it's not even a physical thing. But you get all of that from a video just by watching it. And there's real no feedback other than, hey, try to get on the bar faster. And then as a coach, I'm like, all right, that was 15 seconds. And then the next week, it took him 9 seconds. Cool. We got 6 seconds per repetition back. And he's got to do 30 reps. So we just got a minute back in a workout that requires him to do 30 snatches at 155. TTT, their throwdown is 30 snatches, 30 shuttle runs, 30 clean and jerks at 135. So his qualifier that he did, if that was a problem, that wasn't a problem for him. But if it was, we improved that. He does the TTT throwdown. He's better at that workout now because we improved that characteristic. It's a very good example of how those things layer over. Because I have all that information. I diagnosed it. I now reverse engineered it. And then I'm putting it into his training based on the competitive demands or goal that they have. Right. And all of that comes from me getting information from the athlete. Again, like true information. I don't want to harp on that. It was bad, but it's kind of funny. That's that people say that was bad. Bad doesn't help me. But does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a thumbs up in the chat.
Yeah. And if any of our athletes are listening, make sure you think about that.
I mean, look at 99.9% of our athletes are really good. We want to make them tip of the spear good.
Yeah.
And these are tip of the spear things that I just got through security. Cece's listening to us while going through airport security. That's funny. Yeah. So then point number 3 is layering adaptations. Don't stack randomness. And that's huge. Like we talk about that all the time. And there are a lot of programs. And I think this is less and less. If you guys disagree, let me know. But I think doing, the idea we talked about last week of doing 21, 15, 9 of cleans and let's say toes to bar. And then, you do the CrossFit thing where you have the list of movements and you check off cleans and you check off toes to bar. And then for that week, and then you're like, all right, well, I did cleans, so I'll squats. So tomorrow I did toes to bar. So tomorrow let's do rowing, and I'll do double unders, and I'll do handstand push-ups. And then you check off monostructural rowing, you check off monostructural double unders, and you check off vertical push.
Well, this is all coming from the L1 though, right? It's like when they talk about programming in the L1, they talk about that's how they program out a month for an affiliate. And I think that some people still,
not some people,
a lot of people,
a lot of proven, proven.
Right.
Even a little bit of, I like Sentinel training, but even a little bit of Sentinel training is that doing that a little bit. And there's value there, obviously, because it creates a good rhythm. It's similarly like, I got asked today, like, hey, do you guys, because they're running a marathon and somebody in the class, and I try to do this. You do want a segment training of like push, pull, squat, push, pull, squat. so you can balance and recover people. And I got asked if we do that. I was like, yeah, we do. But like, it's hard because, one-on-one training and coaching is way better. You can create someone's schedule much better, much cleaner, as long as they communicate. You can make sure everything's balanced from those push pulls, spread out the days, similar like a bodybuilding set. And you can get somebody where they're not pulling for 24 to 48 hours after they already pulled, because you don't need that unless they're in like a competition phase block. You want to pull, give rest and recovery time 48 to 72 hours later at the most, which would be great and beneficial for people. So you can get the right dose, recovery, and then the response. Whereas like a lot of training programs, you might do pull-ups one day and then a day later, after you do something else, you're going to do toes to bar. You're still hanging on the rig. Right. And like, that's where you fall into the issue. You might do thrusters on Monday and then wall balls on Friday. And those are way too close together. And that's the same movement. You might even do thrusters on Monday and handstand pushups on Wednesday and then wall balls on Friday, because you just checking off the movement selection, but all three of those movements are the same movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Keeping handstand pushup, upside down thruster.
Correct.
But like, that's where a lot of training is, just like training for randomness or the unknown or knowable, rather than what we talked about with like the snatch repeatability for coding that workout, or the toe to bar density. You're trying to train them to that thing that is testing them for their goal or their deficiency. Like, you don't even need to be a high level athlete. You could come into a CrossFit class and get a one-on-one coach because you can't do more than one toe to bar and you want to get those adaptations. So you want to do skill work and training to get more than one toe to bar, because time and retention is always king. So if we can do someone who can do 10 toe to bar versus someone who can do one toe to bar, a person doing 10 unbroken is getting a greater physical adaptation every class that they come to doing 10 toe to bar than the person who does one toe to bar at a time. The same thing is true for all kinds of movements, even things with like, you're not strong enough to do 95-pound thrusters for more than like 4 reps. The person that can do 15 unbroken versus the person who did 4 is getting a bigger training stimulus each time they train than the person who's doing 4 at a time, because they're not strong enough. So that's where, again, one-on-one coaching comes in. And that's the adaptation that we're looking for on a basic level. We can go way deeper than that, but like, you're trying to build a skill so they can get adaptation, or you're trying to build strength so they can get a greater adaptation in the training that they're like having a hard time or struggling with, or body aesthetics. Cause we know that like, you got to get the 10 to 12 reps to really get those body muscles going. But yeah, looking for that, or like heart rate stuff that we do with the running, getting people to feel very comfortable in zone 4, never going to zone 5. Cause you talk to any endurance athlete, they're going to tell you what is zone 5. That doesn't even exist to them.
Yeah.
It does. But like, if you go to zone 5 as a marathon runner, like, you're in trouble. You're going to bonk unless you're able to refuel and replenish throughout that time. And it depends on your level and everything else, I know. But, true endurance training, they're not trying to go to zone 5, but for whatever reason, CrossFitters just love it there. But yeah, if you can get someone to train up, and like, let's say like Heather's a good example. She goes zone 5 pretty easy. We've talked about this, but like, if we're doing a workout and everybody else is doing the same workout and everybody in the room is at a high zone 3 heart rate for that workout, and at the end of the workout, everyone gets the same score, but Heather's at zone 5, where does Heather have to go?
Nowhere.
Yeah. Your max capacity heart rate, right? There's probably some other things happening. Well, not probably. There is other things happening, but let's just focus on the heart rate. If we could train for adaptation of getting Heather to operate at a lower heart rate for that same workout, she has then somewhere to go and build more capacity. Just like people might have to go the other end and get a little bit stronger to increase their heart rate to get more work in the given time. So there's the evaluation of, well, these people need to become more more strong, and Heather needs to become more aerobic. So I diagnosed it, and then I'm going to train it for the adaptations and layer those adaptations broadly and generally, rather than a movement selection, or we haven't done this movement for a while, so we should do this movement.
Or then they do it after 3 months and they're like, oh, I PR'd. That's
Yeah.
weird.
All right, and then number 4 is managing fatigue. I talked about this like kind of already. The training, you're going to have time between training so people can develop, they can adapt, they can change. And you're not dosing them too soon. I was talking about this with somebody about maximum recoverable volume. We talked about this a few shows ago. Some of the comments brought it up, and like your maximum recoverable volume is really important. That's how you're going to get gains. And people who want to do volume is a good tool to improve people. I don't want to discredit it, but it's not the only tool, and it's not the tool that we should go to first for majority of people. When you know that volume is a good tool, is this: you take an athlete, you start them out really conservatively, and then you just start layering up volume, and you watch little metrics like HRV, you watch their results, you watch performance. And if things don't look dampened and their performance steadily climbs because you're tracking it all and you're diagnosing it, yeah, you layer on volume and you see what they can handle, and you keep, they're not complaining about can't sleep, I'm hot before I go to bed, my elbows hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, I don't have energy for this, I feel overtrained. Like all those things that someone's saying they can't handle the volume.
Yeah.
So you got to bring it back. Their maximum recoverable volume is too high. You went too far into the deep end. And you don't know until you start experimenting with people what that is. And so again, that goes into like the training and making sure that the X's and O's of the training and the feedback loop that you're getting from results and times and loads are all there first. Because if that performance metrics start to drop, I will start looking at, well, how much volume am I giving them? Is it a volume issue? Is it a general recoverability issue? And then you start asking more questions, and that's when you get, someone's account of things, or like we talked about, like the download of like, hey, what's going on? To try and figure out the other variables. But just generally, we got to start with the training program first. And that gets built out into the training program of why you're getting this many reps or sets or pieces, and everything grows from there. Sometimes you just got to do volume. Like some people need to get more robust, and like you give them some bodybuilding style things that is a lot of reps, a lot of reps. Like to build muscle, you got to do a lot of reps and or a lot of load. It's pretty safe with most people to do more reps than it is to do high load to build muscle. But you still have to have enough load. You can't do like 10-pound weights and build muscle.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to do as heavy as possible with, high reps. And that's just like we're managing that. So it's like, hey, are we adapting somebody here with that thing? Are they getting too fatigued? Am I giving them too much tricep work with their handstand push-up work that they're not getting a value from their actual sport specific work of handstand push-ups? What's it say? Checking in for my weekly, get taught off the topic. Yeah, funny. I know. Hey, Tyler,
That's very easy to do.
You can say anything. Oh, I see. Tyler can jump in and get me off my topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, managing fatigue through the program. That's how we do it. Through all of the other steps that we said, and then it comes through the reps and sets and the time and the total volume, the total weekly volume. As a coach, I have had to talk to athletes about volume because people get very addicted to training, very addicted to volume. It feels good. It does. Training a lot feels good. It does increase your capacity. So then you can do more, and then you feel good and you want to do more. And that's totally fine. I understand those things, but also I want maximum recoverability from that volume I'm giving you. So you have progression versus plateauing and stagnation and accommodation to the volume. And then you feel you also don't get the goal you want. And then you may start feeling like shit because you're doing too much volume over time,
or you get hurt.
Or you get hurt. Right. And so like looking at those things, like, yeah, you want to communicate effectively so we can manage that. But I have had to tell athletes like, hey, look, here's your breakdown of your weekly volume. And it's like, it's in pounds moved. It's in contractions of, pull, push, squat. Let's see, what does CrossFit have to say? Nah, doubt the dose.
Double the dose.
Oh, double the dose. Hope for the most. Yeah, more is better, right? Always. If 100 milligrams of testosterone was good. Let me go to 200,
Ooh.
even though you don't need it. But yeah, trying to build that. And that happens again in the program, because of your feedback. And it's good when coaches say stuff to you like, hey, look, and I'm very communicative about, look, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm seeing. But even if we weren't, and we're seeing the results and the program is changing, like there's a reason there for it. And it happened again, like I said, it happens in the program. And then 5 is build a feedback loop into the plan, which I think comes from the beginning piece, saying, oh, that was a bad workout.
Yeah.
So going back to it, that's not a good feedback loop. Like, and vice versa with the coach. Like Kathy brought up something as well. If like we don't ask for something as a coach, then we're not getting the initial start of that feedback loop, right? If you're not getting videos, well, we can't give you, we don't know what you're looking for. If something specific, you ask for something specific, right? So coaches have to do that. Then once we ask for that, like Heather was saying, hey man, you got to keep doing that. Don't just like all of a sudden we're working on snatch and all of a sudden your snatch videos go away. Like that's not helpful to you or us.
Yeah.
And two, like, I mean, we use CoachRX. If you want to watch progress, like all those videos will come up for you and you can watch yourself progress through your snatch and the gains that you're making. So that can also be a pretty good, like positive feedback loop for yourself as well. I was talking to Brian and he watches, which is great. And everybody who trains and wants to improve, even if you're going to classes or whatever it is, maybe not every rep do you want to do because it take a lot of time and your training time will expand quite a bit. But like do video yourself, watch a rep that you feel like was bad and watch that one, see if you can make corrections. And then you're still videoing yourself, obviously, but don't get so hyper focused on the video. And then when you feel like you did a really good rep, then watch that rep and try to compare like the one that you felt was bad and the one that you felt was good and see what's happening and see if you can see what you're doing differently. So then you can kind of self-coach and self-diagnose, and that will accelerate your learning process. For Brian and I, we've brought him from, barely being able to do 30 ring muscle ups a year ago to now he just smacks 30 ring muscle ups like it's your lunch money and you're a 5-year-old kid that he's just picking up off the bus,
But I think even conversely to that, like it's really valuable to watch or video watch yourself and then make your assessment and then make changes if you feel like it needed. But I get a lot of times people will send me a feedback like, oh, that was so hard. It felt so heavy. It was really bad. Right. But then you watch the video and it looked fine. So like, I think there's like a converse of that also where like athletes think it's so bad because they're just feeling however they're feeling that day. Maybe they didn't sleep well or they're tired or whatever. And then they actually like watch it and they're like, oh, it actually didn't look that bad, So I think like there's that side of it too, where being able to watch your video can also convince you that you're doing fine.
Yeah. Making the difficult look easy. Yeah. I actually gave Nate that feedback the other day because he was doing power cleans. And I was like, he basically said they felt bad. And I was like, yeah, really? They look like pretty fucking easy, dude. Like,
yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I have an athlete right now who's doing Legends qualifiers and, was like, oh, I only went up this like 5 pounds or whatever. Cause it just felt really bad. And I was like, and then I watched it and I was like, well, it didn't actually like look that bad or challenging. So like to me, they could have, again, they can't go back in time and do anything, but like having that video and like being able to see that, I'm like, well, you probably should have gone up. You probably could have done 10 if you were like.
Yeah. And it could build self-efficacy
Yeah.
when you're watching it and confidence and like understanding because it takes away the blindness. I think there's a lot of athletes who have like a lot of blindness of like, that's why like sometimes you ask people like, well, how'd that go? And they just say bad or, I know we're harped on it a lot, but it might be because they just have no awareness of even what they're doing. They haven't watched enough videos of themselves. They haven't watched enough videos in CrossFit, and there's copious amounts of videos in CrossFit. Like there's not a student in the game, and I don't want to like put that on them, but at least watch yourself. like Heather's saying, watch those videos back and see if how you felt in the video or how you felt when you did the rep aligns with the video, and then make decisions from there. And over time, you won't even need the video.
Mm-hmm.
You'll just be like, oh, I know what that felt like. I know how to make the correction, because you're taking you're building autonomy into your own training, which is ultimately how you're going to get better faster. And that's the thing with like Brian's watching his ring muscle ups. I'm giving him cues. I'm giving him drills. We're putting the sets and the reps and the rest periods appropriately in his training. He's watching his video. He's asking me for like, hey, I feel like this is hard. What do you got for me? I'm like, cool. This is the drill we're going to do. I can't keep this there. My knees bend too early. My hips come forward too early. What do you got for me? And I mean, sometimes it's just like with Heather and her ring muscles, like we just got to do more reps and drop your feet.
Mm-hmm.
You got to drop your feet, get through and do more reps. With Brian, there was like a lot of specific things that we could fix through drills, which we started doing. And then he started working with Scott Panchik in person, watching the videos, doing my drills. We're all communicating, and like, bam, this guy comes in this week. And I was like, my job here is done. Like I can retire. You are, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we want more. We're going to push him out, but like, because he did all that groundwork and it's in the training and it's in the conversation and we're manipulating it through the program design, we're building this out in a really robust way that allows him to progress faster and feel good about what he's doing. But he's also an active role in his own training, and he's putting in his results, putting in everything we talked about. He's hitting all 5 of these points spot on, and there's a reason why he's first in the world in the Open. Then he's first in the world at semifinals. And if we can do our job and work really hard and everything, there's things you can't control, but it goes our way, he's going to stand on the podium at the games. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
But it's not because, he's doing all the work, he's doing all the volume. There's so many things involved there, but a lot of it starts with the training feedback. Whether you have a coach that uses spreadsheets or Coach RX or True Coach or whatever it is, it really starts with you. And then it starts with us writing the right program for that feedback, because we've diagnosed it that way. What Tristan say? If you aren't aware of what's happening or how you're moving in your training, you simply aren't paying attention and taking it seriously enough. Yeah, 100%. I watch people do it all the time. It's like, and they wonder how I can sit back and be like, yeah, you don't want what you want, and you don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people get upset because you are challenging what they think they want.
Yeah.
And you're highlighting their actions, not their words. Cause like words are cheap. I could say I want to compete, and it's like, yeah, that's fine. Now let's see you do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will stay the same. Oh yeah. Cody wants me to continue to harp on people. Sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, oh, maybe I should stop. Maybe I should not say that, but people got to know, like, it's not from a negative place. It can feel negative for sure as the athlete, but it's just an awareness of like, look, this is not going the way you say you want it to go. So what are we going to do? Right. But yeah, it's definitely like those little things. And then the last point he's gotten here is like, coach the human, not the spreadsheet, which is true. And that out of all 6 of these points, this is the only point that doesn't have to do with manipulation of program design, manipulation of training, and the X's and O's, which is very important to realize how important good programming is, good drills are, good methods, good principles, communication of what you're doing, how you're achieving it, videos of what you're doing so that we can see it. And then, trusting and looking at like, is this the same programming, or are there little notes of like, look good last week, we're going to try and keep the heels down, we're going to hit these snatches again. Dude, that is like some of the highest quality feedback from a coach that you could get. But I think people expect more than that, because they're doing all these things, the 5 other things for that little bit for you, and you're not seeing it. And that's okay, because you don't need to. Then the layer of like this last piece of like coach the human is a big piece, right? We're talking about people like there's pieces where like if you see somebody come in and do what we were just talking about, where they doesn't seem like they care about their training and they're not doing it, the best thing you can do is sit them down and coach them into like, hey, do you really want to do this? What's the ultimate goal? Why are these things happening to you? Where do you want to go with this? Can we make changes and shifts to what's happening, and make them aware that like they're not going to get to where they want to go with these types of behaviors. And if they don't want to, that's okay. Just change the goal, or change the behaviors. What's Tristan saying? It's a hard part of being a coach is being honest, delivering the honesty, well as the hard part. Bedside manner. Yeah, I have like none of that. And that's okay. Like I figured this out. Like I talked about this last week, and I talked about this with Cece a little bit because she stayed with us at her house. And I'm almost to the point now. I know what I can do. And it's kind of a thing where like, hey, look, I'm not the coach for you. You're just not going to get success with me. But you can definitely get success. Maybe not definitely, but you can get success somewhere else. And I'm okay with that. Unless you want to get on board with, what I have to offer. Like, I'm In-N-Out Burger and you might want Steak and Shake. And that's totally fine. Both really good establishments to give you a burger and fries. Solid analogy. You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck.
That's basically your bedside manner.
Who have I said that to?
Me all the time, every day.
Not today.
That's true. You didn't say that today.
I was there. You were doing great. I was helping you. It's good. What emoji is this?
Tristan.
You suck, you suck, you suck, you suck.
Sick.
Oh man. But I thought those were all really good points. Like I really got down with what Jason Lathan. If you guys don't know, he's the owner of Conquer Athlete, crushing it. So I thought we talk about it. It layered in well with what we were talking about last week. And I think it's one of the bigger missing links to how remote coaching especially can become better. Mm-hmm. And just understanding like what you're getting from a really quality coach and a really knowledgeable coach too, because that can look much different. Because I think someone who doesn't have as much knowledge and acumen of program design and like building that out in program needs to have like what Tristan says, more bedside manner, more connection with the athlete, because like that's how you're going to get more results. You're going to try and like manipulate their psychology. Like Greg used to talk about this a lot of like, yes, there's like physiological demands, but there's also psychological.
Well, folks, it looks like we lost him. If you haven't already, drop us a like, subscribe. No, yeah, they're gone. Thanks, Nate. Oh, maybe back? If you've been with us this whole time, out of those 6 points, if you're in the chat, drop us which one of those stood out to you most, or you would like to see your coach use more with you, or if you.
Oh, we're back. All right. Well.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, StreamYard. Yay. That's how we do it. It's happened on other podcasts or live shows. But yeah, that's basically it. I really enjoyed it. Like I was saying, you can't override and make someone tough as nails, but the training program will eventually, the rubber will meet the road. Like no matter how talented somebody is or their genetics and like how tough you make them, like you got to change the biology. So at a certain point, you got to get all those other 5 points in there and diagnose the training and everything else and use that approach. Hopefully that was helpful giving you guys. So like last week, we gave you some of the the means and like the methods and like what those are and what that means, a little bit of what happens behind the curtain and what we need from you guys and what those terms look like from Jason Lathan's post, which was really good and really important, I think, for everybody who's engaged in this process, whether that's in CrossFit coaching remotely or, I mean, there's so much remote coaching now, thanks to COVID, that it seems like everybody has a remote coaching business in all cycling, running, CrossFit, high rock, everything. So it's good and it will make you better. So no matter what program you're on, or if you're with us or a blog or anything else, doing a lot of those things, even if you don't have a coach, like filming yourself, putting in results, tracking those things will make you much, much better. So try to do those things, even if it's not with us. Be good. All
Love
right.
it.
All right. What should we talk about next week? Comment in the chat. How you suck.
I mean, you could talk about that for an hour, for
You
sure.
suck. Did I really say that?
He blacks out
Yeah, exactly.
when he gets mad.
A rage, just a red rage.
It's pretty accurate, actually. I
Oh,
laugh,
man.
but it's true.
Pretty good. I got nothing.
Speed work helping endurance.
Oh, that's what we should talk about?
All right.
All right. I don't think it does. People just need to be made of rubber.
What, their comments bounce off them and
Yeah, I'm
reflect back
rubber,
to
you're
you?
glue.
Like, what
Whatever
does
you
that
say
mean?
bounces off of me and sticks to you. Come on.
Is that what it means?
How do you not know that? Take it and just let it bounce off you. Yeah, pretty much.
That's good advice.
People don't
Cody.
suck.
That's good advice.
You know what? I want to defend myself a little bit because I would say I believe in people more than a lot of other coaches I've met, like almost to a fault, like for a long time. And I still believe this actually. I think it's gotten harder over the years for sure. And I think early on, I've thought about this, and Tristan and I were kind of talking about this a little bit of like CrossFit early on in the testing body. And I used to say like anyone could go to the CrossFit Games, and it would bother a lot of people that I would say that. And I believe that a little less now because the robustness of the athletes and some of the demands. Like if you're a male athlete, like you got to snatch 285 to 300. You know, like I mean, you don't have to, but it's really, really useful. And you need to get in that ballpark. So that makes it really tough. Whereas like when I used to say this early on, it was like 250. You can snatch 250. And that's a huge difference, you know? So the demands have increased a little bit to make me waver on that statement. But I do think, you know, given you're not going to crumble like a piece of paper under some of these heavy bars as a male athlete, female's a little bit different. You don't, it helps to be strong, but you don't necessarily need to be strong yet, like super, super strong the way like every guy needs to be strong. And so some of those things, you go down the list of those things, they've increased. But I still think if you're willing to give enough and it takes what it takes, you could go to the CrossFit Games. But you got to have all the things in the row. And then sometimes you just can't. Like genetics, like I said, everyone's gotten so good now that I believe I say it, but there's like a caveat now of like, man, these people have adapted. So like it's tough.
Well, and you have to be willing to do what all the things that you're talking about that Brian's doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have to have an understanding of like that's what it takes. It's not just like, again, this will of, well, I want to go and I'm going to do it within the parameters of what I have. And it's just going to, I mean, your parameters are what you have may not be enough. Like, and that's the reality. And I think people just, they forget or they don't realize, well, I'm giving enough. I'm doing everything. This is all the time I have. And it's like, but that still may not be enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But doesn't mean that I don't believe in you, even though I tell you suck. Half the time I'm telling somebody that they suck is because they're not doing what they should be doing and they got to hear it, you know? But
damn,
I don't know. I'm going to defend myself here. At the highest level, you need talent and hard work. No HWPO. There are a lot of people who've worked really hard, had a lot of talent, and still.
Well, we talked about that the other day at the last couple weeks ago at the Run Club about having the it factor, right? I mean, I think that's might be what Nate's getting at is a lot of these athletes that are qualifying for the CrossFit Games are athletes that have the it factor and
No, actually,
and
I
the hard
thought about
work.
it. I thought about it a little bit. Well, no, they have it. I thought, okay, actually, no. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet because I've been looking at like professional athletes, and then you look at like a lot of CrossFitters, and there are a lot of CrossFitters who would never even make it as a professional athlete, even though they played like D1. You look at
A
Jason Hopper,
professional athlete in what sense?
like
Like
Jason
what?
Hopper, he's very good at CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
He was never going to make it to the NFL.
But you
Do you-
could say that for any sport to sport.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you
No,
think
what
it's
I'm saying
because
is
it's
like,
so specific and
I don't know.
CrossFit's
I don't know why.
more?
I'm just saying that
Oh.
there are like a lot of athletes that were very good at their collegiate athletics, and then they're not going to go any further, and most of them find CrossFit. And I would say CrossFit's I think it's easier than like playing in the NFL. I think doing CrossFit at the CrossFit Games, people are going to get mad about this, is easier than playing in the NFL, for example.
Why?
I think because they're fucking athletes, dude. NFL players are real athletes. They understand the grind. They understand the program. They're doing all the things that you're not. Like some of these athletes who try to go to the games are not professionals in the sense of the things that they need to do. Thought of one since I had it. Greatest day month. It also, has hard nights and eats gummy bears. I don't know. Like Candy at the office. Actually, he's been much better about that. But like the work ethic, like even me working with high school athletes, and 3 of them went and played D1. The difference of the athletes that went and played D1 in their work ethic in high school versus the girls that didn't, vastly different. They play the same team, but the things that they're doing, the little things, not forgetting their cleats, showing up to practice on time, knowing the plays, knowing where everybody else's position is, having their head up in the game, understanding the rule book, knowing the field, like all of the work that they did that other athletes didn't do. It's that plus the fact, yes, like what Nate's saying is talent and hard work. And then they're not willing to concede. Other girls are on there in the practice doing Snapchat, and these girls are not.
Mhm.
Right? Some girls are in the line drills talking about, the drama in their English class, and the other girls are not. They're focused in, dialed in. All that hard work plus all their talent.
So you don't think that there are CrossFit athletes with that same
No,
like drive?
there are some
Yeah.
like Caroline Prevost, phenomenal. Played hockey, college, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal martial artist. Also, Paige Semenza, another good example. There are, Daniel Brandon, pole vault, phenomenal, right? And then they come to CrossFit,
But I think it's
but
like
none of them were going to go be pro.
But don't you think it's a little bit of the culture from like D1 sports and what that they get from that, and they bring
Yeah.
that into CrossFit, and they're
And they get better faster.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is the people that went and played in the pros over those people we just listed, like there's like Daniel Brandon pole vaulted, but she never won an NCAA championship. There's a difference there.
Mhm.
Matt Frazier, he never made it. He never made it. He was not an Olympic weightlifter. He did Olympic weightlifting. There's a difference there, dude. Cody, I'm done. I have IT for men's softball.
I have it.
Oh, I have it for men's softball Thursday nights. There it is. That's why you go to CrossFit Games. You have it for men's softball on Thursday nights. No, I just think there's a lot to sift through. We got off tangents. So look, who threw me off on that? Jesus. Anyways, there's a lot there we could
Tristan
discuss,
did.
and then we could argue back and forth and go all the little details. But like the fact remains that like name one CrossFitter who was also a professional athlete in a large professional sport: soccer, hockey, football, tennis.
Tyson Beijing.
He's not a professional he's not a games athlete.
True.
He's a good CrossFitter.
Yeah.
It's because they're just not,
Yeah.
they just don't got, like, we don't got it. We don't got it. If we did, we would have played professional sports and not done CrossFit.
Yeah.
That's why Tyson Bagent is in the NFL and doesn't. And he said, if I don't make it in the NFL, I'm going to CrossFit my face off and go to the games. And he probably would. You saw him do that open announcement.
Yeah.
Gooch has gone up on barbell spin mountain. I don't want to talk about Gooch, dude. Tia in weightlifting and bobsled. She didn't go to the Olympics in bobsled. She didn't make the team. She did do weightlifting, but she did the Commonwealth Games, unless she did go to Rio, right?
I think she did go to Rio.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah.
Yeah. One out of how many, Nate?
Well, and she's also winning the.
She
CrossFit
also
Games.
won it
kinda-
7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You got a leaky boat there, my friend. More than a leaky, you are the Titanic right now. But good try.
All right.
Yeah, bobsled, she didn't do it. Couldn't do it.
What about Colleen Foch?
Also couldn't do it. Tore ACL.
But did she do Olympic bobsledding?
Yeah, but she didn't make the team. Same thing with
Oh.
Kelsey Keels. They weren't
Kelsey
good.
Keel, yeah.
Swapped out the pushers. They were pushers. Swapped them out. They weren't good enough. Sorry,
Well.
Sorry, Charlie.
We all suck. Great.
Just not good enough. He is good enough, I guess. We'll give it to her. We'll give her Rio and Australia. The problem there, though, is like, I don't even want to get into the weightlifters of Australia. Like, we'd have to look at that in her weight class, and like, we go down a whole rabbit hole and then argue, like, where did she finish at Rio against the other nations?
Mm.
Well, it's a slippery slope. She
So
did
what
go,
you're-
though.
Well,
She did go.
But actually, didn't Colleen Foch do? Now I'm thinking about it. Didn't she swim for Cal? Like, wasn't
She
she?
did.
Like,
But she did not swim in the Olympics or professionally.
mm.
You're still, you guys
But
are,
I'm
your
thinking-
guys are
But
still.
I'm thinking of like NCAA championship. Like, did she win an NCAA championship? I don't know.
You can double check that. I don't think she did. You guys are still.
I don't know. I'm just
swinging a miss here.
I'm just throwing. It
Let's
out
be
there. I don't
honest.
know.
If they're good enough, at
Nobody.
anything,
Nobody. It does
they
not
do
exist.
that
The
thing
limit
'cause of
does not
money.
exist.
Yeah, it's true. Except Olympics, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that. Like, I think it's an interesting concept. Something people could argue about. I think there are people who do argue about it. We're arguing about it. I'm just saying, there's just a different level. That's all. They're amazing.
Yeah.
That's what I've come to terms with, is that like athletes in professional sports, regardless of the sport, and I used to like hate on a lot. I hate on you in football because Heather loves football. But like, dude, they're so fucking amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. So I guess that's
fun
what I
to
find.
watch.
I mean, CrossFitters are crazy too, but it's crazy.
We're chatting, Todd's arguing. That's true. What
Yeah.
else is new?
Yeah. I mean, anybody else agree that professional athletes are just wildly impressive?
I think we all can agree on.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing on that one.
It's wild. More impressive than CrossFit Games athletes, for sure. I mean, sometimes.
All right.
All right.
On that.
That's it. Go Birds. Go Birds.
No.
Mayhem.
No.
People like who he likes.
That's
All right,
true.
it's
That's
time
true.
to go.
That's
It's time
true.
to go.
That's true.
You can't hate on somebody for liking
I mean, as long
the
as it's-
Eagles
yeah.
just because you like the 49ers, dude. That's fucked up.
As long as it's not the Chiefs, you know, we're in
Oh
solidarity.
my God.
We all hate the Chiefs.
No,
That's right. Everyone hates the Chiefs.
Everyone hates the Chiefs.
somebody likes them. They show up at the games.
Only people in Missouri like them.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, on that
Maybe,
note,
maybe.
actually, I went to Kansas City a month ago and it was amazing. It was very cool.
All right. We all know who Heather dislikes and who she likes. Fantastic.
Yep.
All right. Hopefully that was informative. I think we covered a lot of stuff there. Again, like I said, if you guys got any suggestions, let us know so we can talk about stuff.
Cool.
All right. See ya.
Bye.